All right, y'all. Tennessee still targeting transfer portal players, and we will be hosting 3 guys this week. 2 of them will be cornerbacks. 1 of them is a wide receiver. 1 of the cornerbacks has already came and went on his visit. The other 2 are currently on campus. So I'm starting off right here just to show you that I think Tennessee, I don't know if we want to add both of those transferred cornerback players or what, probably only 1. But we're looking at these guys to basically be backups. Everyone that we're bringing up, looking at them to be backups. The issue is the guys that are backups are still asking for that starter money, or they're just, maybe not that good. It's a combination of both of those things. Either way, I like everyone that we're going to be talking about today. I like all these guys, but this is the room that Tennessee's really targeting. Like, I think that we're looking at these cornerbacks to help us out either at corner or at star so that we can free up guys that are currently playing cornerback or star on our team to come over and play at safety. We've talked about Caleb Beasley. I love the way that he's looked playing at star, backing up Boo Carter. Boo Carter is going to be playing offense, defense, special teams. So he's going to need a break from playing on defense. We don't want him to have too many snaps. That's just a really bad thing. Like, that's just a bad look. It's a good way to get people injured. I hate to say that, knock on wood, but it just is what it is. So I think that we're targeting guys probably more so to play at the star in lieu of Caleb Beasley, because Caleb Beasley looked great backing Boo Carter up at least over spring. So this safety room, to me, it's still shorthanded. If Caleb Beasley can earn a starting spot there, really, I mean, everybody, they're all underclassmen. Now, Jordan Thomas, if he comes back, if he's healthy, that just helps us out. That is the ace inside of the hole. I'm counting him like he's not going to be here just because it sounds like that's a very realistic possibility. But this is where we really need more depth at. So looking at this star room, what y'all can see is number 1, Caleb Beasley. Just take him out. I still have him here because I think that in certain situations he can't play here, but take him out. You can see it's very, very shorthanded. It's Boo Carter, maybe William Wright. I like the way that he's looked so far. He's a walk-on guy. I think that he's going to be more of like a physical, play inside of the box type of a star player instead of what Tennessee's moved more towards, which is, kind of like a real nickelback, somebody that can actually play coverage. If you have the guys that can play more coverage, that frees up and that, helps us to be more versatile as far as the different types of defenses that we can play. So, Boo Carter can definitely do that. Can William Wright do it? I don't know. I haven't seen him playing out in coverage as much. The fact that we are still targeting guys for, either cornerback or for star lets me know that the staff isn't too much sold on what we have currently. So Marcus Gorey, he's another guy that I really like, potentially playing at star. I think he's perfect for it because he's really similar to how Boo plays, right? Like, he's going to have good coverage. I don't think it's going to be as good as Boo, but not too much of a drop off there. But he might be a little bit more physical than what Boo is. So that would be, I think, a really good option as well. Then you're looking at 2 freshmen, Dylan Lewis and then Trey. Both of those guys being really young, I like the way that they look so far. I think that they're prototype star players. So we still need that depth. We still need some veteran players who can play inside of the slot. So I think that that's why Tennessee's targeting these guys from the transfer portal just to open up competition. And we can also look at this cornerback room just to show you how this whole thing looks. I would say that Ricky Gibson and then J-Mac, those are the 2 starters week 1. So then number 3, it could be Tyler Redmond, or it could be one of the transfer portal players that we bring in, or it could be somebody else, right? Like, I think that the biggest thing here is it's just about competition. So, obviously, once we get everybody back healthy, then we're going to look a lot better just as far as the depth with all of these spots, but especially with the cornerbacks. Matter of fact, I love what I've seen from all these cornerbacks up to this point. So with all that being said, let's talk about Brent Austin. We've talked about him previously, but y'all can see him one more time. So he played at South Florida. You can see his size, pretty good size. He's not going to be as tall or as long as most of the cornerbacks or secondary players that Tennessee already has. But I think that he's really, really good. Just looking at his film, he's got great coverage. Out of the 2, I actually think that his coverage skills at this point right now are more ready, right? Like, I would say it's more ready to play SEC football. Love what I've seen from him. He understands leverage very well. He'll come off and he'll be physical too. He's not the most physical guy. Both of the players that we'll talk about that's going to be playing corner, they'll both stick their neck in there. But for me, he's a little bit more polished with that. He's a little bit more strong at the point of contact. So I would say that he's got a higher floor, maybe not as high of a ceiling, but I absolutely love his game. It sounds like his visit did go well, and he's going to be visiting Cal coming up here very, very soon. So we'll see. It's basically down between us and Cal, if I'm not, if I'm not mistaken. But I love his game, and I would love if Tennessee could add him. Is he going to be asking for too much money? That's going to be one of the questions. Also, does he come in maybe a shade up under what they have him listed as? That's another possibility. But I think that just because of the situation that Tennessee's in, you got to take the guy that looks the best on the field. We saw the same thing with J-Mac whenever he was transferring in from Temple. They said, well, he came in at first, and his size wasn't ideal. But we took a chance on him, right? And it might have just been because we didn't have really too many other options. But I think that he's looking really, really good. I mean, he's going to be the cornerback to start the season off right next to Ricky Gibson, like we talked about. So take a chance. If you just like believe what you see on film, you don't always have to hit all these measurables and things like that, especially with the situation that Tennessee's in currently. Next, I want to talk about Colton Hood, who will be coming from Colorado. Looks like he's a little bit bigger just based off of what ESPN is saying here. He's also younger. So I'm going to say this. His floor is a little bit lower, but his ceiling is probably higher. It's not just because he's younger, but also just watching the way that he gets in and out of his breaks. Man, he's got a whole lot of bounce to his steps. And I think that he could be a real true shutdown cornerback. Obviously, anytime that you're being coached by Deion Sanders, he's going to tell you a lot of different tricks to the trade and playing man-to-man coverage. And he played a lot of it with those Colorado Buffs. So we know that he can do that. I think that he looks pretty good with his coverage. He does tend to get lost sometimes. So that's the thing that kind of concerns me, especially, when he's playing slot. Both of these guys have played basically like slot or nickel. So they know how it feels to have a two-way go coming from the offense. But he doesn't always look, I would say, the best from there. So in this situation, if Tennessee was to add him, you might want to maybe put him more on the outside. He looks a lot better playing outside cornerback, and then maybe move somebody else to the inside. I don't know if that's what Tennessee really wants to do, but I think that he would be a good option as well. I just don't know who would be the better of these two options, or how the staff sees that. I would like to take both. I don't understand, like, just take both of these guys. So we don't have to worry about stuff. We don't have to too much worry about cornerback or star, or maybe even safety moving forward. So that's the way that I would try to handle it. Do we have enough money to bring in both of these players? Probably not. I've said this. I've said this several times. I feel like Tennessee. I do think that we have some money issues. Whether that's just because we've overspent on the players that we currently have, or like whatever. It doesn't really matter. If we don't have the money to go out and add the players that we need to add, then for me that means that we have some money issues. But yeah, I mean, I do. I think that either one of these options would be perfectly fine for me, and hopefully we can get the safety situation figured out. All right, now let's talk about this wide receiver room. This is a spot that we've talked a lot about as well. Just don't think that we have enough bodies here, right? Because, I mean, you're looking at Boo Carter. Yeah, he's going to be a part-time player. But really, man, you want to have about 10 wide receivers every season, like very, very close to 10 scholarship wide receivers. Now, I know that we've got some walk-on guys that look pretty good. But, I think that you still want to add even one more player just to be safe, because if you lose one guy, especially if you lose one of those veterans, man, this is a just all young wide receiver core. And there is something to be said about actually having played wide receiver in some real situations. I just think that that means so much to this team, because wide receiver, I mean, like, let's just face it, it's quarterback, it's wide receiver. That's two huge roles on this football team. So, we're going to pretty much go as far as those two spots take us. And then obviously offensive line too. Don't even need to talk about that. But either way, this is how the wide receiver room looks currently. As I've said, I would love for Tennessee to go out and add one more like outside guy, a guy that's 6'3" and up, to really help out with this new quarterback room that Tennessee has. But Tennessee's not necessarily going in that direction at this point, because Jonathan Brady is listed at 5'10", 180 pounds. He's playing at Cal. This is the other guy that's up on a visit today. It's him, and it's also Colton Hood. So this is the wide receiver. Y'all can look at his numbers. They're not going to absolutely wow you, but actually, if you were to line those numbers up to Tennessee's wide receivers last season, is going to look like, one of the best. He might be the second best out of all of our wide receivers with his numbers. So you can't necessarily look at it from that perspective, but watching his film, he's a guy that he's smaller. So you would think, hey, he's going to be super fast. I don't know that his straight line speed is going to be like 4.3. He's probably a higher 4.4 to a lower 4.5 guy, but he looks really good in and out of his breaks. He runs very good routes. He's going to make some very tough catches. That's big. Like I said, I would much rather Tennessee goes out and adds a player that's 6'3" and up to be more of the outside guy, because Tennessee has plenty of these kind of, smaller guys that could play slot or inside. For me, he's more of just a slot. I think it's just based off of his size. It doesn't mean that he can't play some outside too in certain situations. I think that all these guys are going to have to get cross-trained and do, a plethora of different things. But I think that he's got a pretty solid game. The biggest thing for me is his toughness, is his grittiness. I don't think that you can ever have too many players that are dogs. But within Tennessee's system, typically, especially if you're a smaller player, it's more about, do you have that good straight line speed to keep the, just to keep that coverage backed off of you, so that the underneath stuff is there. But because I think Tennessee's going to run some more drag routes and crossing routes, players like this that are really good with their transitions, that by itself could be pretty beneficial. So yeah, I mean, we've talked several times about, man, Tennessee is going to have to switch up some things within our offensive scheme. If we were to add another player like this, then you really have to stick more to that, and it's not going to be as much vertical stuff as what we've seen previously. Just because for me, I don't think that his straight line speed is not going to be. I don't think he's going to be as fast as like a Squirrel White. Honestly speaking, I don't think he's slow, but I don't think he's going to be able to take the top off like Squirrel White did. And we saw how much trouble even Squirrel had in catching some of these deeper passes. I think it's harder for especially taller quarterbacks, which is another positive thing. The Tennessee's quarterbacks aren't that tall, but for some reason, it feels like the taller quarterbacks struggle more throwing into these shorter wideouts. So that could also kind of play into Tennessee's hand. But either way, this is kind of where I'm at with it. I'd be fine. I'd be happy if Tennessee adds him because we need one more player. I think that he would fit in well. I don't think he's going to be a starter. He's probably going to be fighting for, second, maybe third string at the slot spot. So I think that would be fine. I think he's a good option there. But, I feel like we definitely just have to add somebody. So I would be fine with it from that standpoint. And just as far as those cornerbacks, like I said, I would love to add both of those guys. But if we could just add one, doesn't matter which one it is. But we really do need to add at least one secondary player, period, point blank. So the secondary players for me, probably more of a pressing need than wide receiver is, just especially given what the options look like. But if we could add a secondary player and a wide receiver, we're in a much better situation. So hopefully that's how things play out, at least as far as I'm concerned. But please let me know what you think about it down inside of the comment section. Does Tennessee need to try to add all these guys, or which ones do you like the absolute most? Which ones do you think are absolute must for Tennessee? Thanks for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel because that keeps us growing inside of the YouTube algorithm. And if you did like this video, here's another one that you might also enjoy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.